It's always that goddamn house. There's something wrong with it, and I don't even know where I would begin if I ever wanted to figure it out. Nearly 10 years later, and I can still feel a primal type of fear from my skin. It soaks into me and it covers me whole. It slips down my throat and into my lungs until I can't even gasp for breath. The more I think of it, the worse it gets. I guess writing it out makes me a glutton for punishment. It immortalizes my fear and immortalizes him. My parents were in the midst of selling the house that still haunts my dreams even as an adult. I was 16 when they decided to sell, and I already had experienced some of the worst nights inside of that cursed place. I couldn't let the house go, though. Not without one last night. I begged my parents to let me stay there one more time, alone. They agreed. All that was left in the shell of my old home was a single couch in one of the living rooms. I should add now that the place was massive. It sat on the top of a hill looming over the town. It had 4 bedrooms, 2.5 bathrooms, 2 living rooms, a kitchen with enough space for a full-size dining table, a separate dining room with a fireplace and enclosed porch, and a full-sized attic and basement. There were 2 staircases. One of them led to the office that was connected to one of the bedrooms. The door to the attic sat nestled in a corner of the office. We always used the back door to enter and exit the house, and that was where the story really starts, I suppose. After my parents agreed to let me spend the night there by myself, I decided to do what any 16-year-old would do if left in a massive house. I invited my boyfriend Jack over, and he brought his laptop so we can play Skyrim. We ordered pizza and wings and sat a pile of blankets on the floor. It was around 2 a.m. when I heard it. 3 very distinct knocks at the back door. And then I was asleep. I don't even remember feeling tired. It's like those knocks snapped the energy out of me. While I slept, I could see Jack still playing Skyrim. Fuck those mud crabs, am I right? I distantly remember thinking it was so strange. I could still see and hear everything around me despite being fast asleep. That was when I heard the back door open, and he walked in. He was a tall, shadowy figure wearing a top hat. The only features I could make out were bright green eyes and a mouth that seemed too far big for what the dimensions of his face were. He walked into the house as if he owned it. I could feel a disturbed sense of pride rolling off of him. Why hadn't Jack moved? Why couldn't I see him? I realized I had to be dreaming, but I didn't understand why I was still so acutely aware of everything going on around me. He disappeared from my sight as he turned and walked up the back staircase, but I could feel where he was. I could see it so clearly in my mind as he walked into the office and opened the door to the attic and walked through the attic. Then back down through my parents' room. It was like he was checking to see if anyone else was there, and he seemed giddy. He walked through the entire upstairs of the house before coming down the front staircase and walking through the living room, and then into the one where I slept. Jack was still blissfully unaware that something was very, very wrong. The man looked at me, and we made eye contact. I'll never forget how I felt my soul freeze, as if I suddenly submerged under ice. He smiled, and then let out a laugh. I can still hear the ringing in my ears to this day. I woke up to Jack shaking me, panic all over his face, asking me what was wrong. I had started screaming in my sleep, apparently. Once I calmed down enough to tell him what happened, a dark look crossed his face, and he told me that I had only been asleep for about 5 minutes. He said that he heard knocks, and then I was just out like a light. He showed me the time, and he was right. Not enough time passed for me to have fallen deep enough to have a dream that detailed, that real. I haven't seen him as clearly since that night, but when I linger on the thought of him, on the thought of the events that unfolded there, I feel my blood run cold. I become paralyzed by an overwhelming dread. I don't know how old I was when I realized why he made himself known to me that night, but I can say for sure his goal was not changed. Every time he crosses my mind, I can feel him smile. I know he has never, ever stopped watching.